Hey guys, it's Nico and Dave here from Outdoors Anonymous, and today we're going to talk about 3 different turkey hunting strategies that'll help you kill more turkeys. Alright guys, so just before we talk about strategy number 1, before you even hunt turkeys, the first thing you got to do is you got to find where the turkeys are, right? Because no matter what you do, if you're doing all kinds of advanced strategies, whatever, you're the best caller in the world, it doesn't really matter if there's no turkeys in the area. So first thing you're going to have to do is find where the turkeys are at. We've talked about that in a different video already, so I'm going to link that video in the description below, probably in one of the pop-ups over here right above Dave's face somewhere as well. So make sure you guys click on that. We'll give that video a watch first if you haven't already, and then maybe come back to this one after you've watched that video, because once you know how to find the turkeys, then you can really talk about you know, the different strategies in how to go about hunting those birds. All right, so having said that, strategy number 1 would be hunting the roost. So whether that is getting set up somewhere near the roost, either in the early morning just before the sun rises and waiting for them to come down from their roost and start moving around, or in the evening just before the sun sets, before they go back up to their roost, you could be set up in pretty much the same spot too, just different times. So when you hunt with this strategy, what you want to do is, number 1, again, you need to know where these birds are roosting. And once you know where they're roosting, you want to set up in a spot in a travel corridor where, say, maybe you've pre-scouted some turkey tracks or something like that. Turkeys, these birds also like to travel in between like little patches of bush, and they tend to take, you know, like lower dips in the terrain as well, just so that they can stay hidden. And they go take these dips and they go from patch of bush to patch of bush without ever being seen by any predators. So set up in a spot sort of like that near their roosts. So when somebody says hunt these turkeys near their roosts, generally how far do you want to be away from the actual roost? Say I know that tree right there is exactly where they're roosting. About how far away from the roost do you want to set up?
Well, depends on how many turkeys are roosting at that particular tree or in that patch of trees, because if you got, let's say me and you are hunting together, we don't want to go and hunt right under that roost, shoot one, now that we have no idea where the turkeys are going to roost the next day. So if we can intercept them on the way to the roost, so let's say 100 yards, you know, 50 to 100 yards at least away, hopefully even more if you can have them patterned. But normally when they are coming to a roost, they could come from all over, but they're going to have right before the roost, let's say that little corridor that they use, they're going to take that, and you need to be set up there.
It's so damn windy, it's blowing the camera all around here. Okay, now it's facing us again.
Okay, what was I saying? Oh yeah, you need to get set up on the way to the roost. Yeah. You don't want to set up right under it, because then you're screwing it up for the next time you go or the next hunter.
Or they're gonna bust you coming into right under their roost in the first place. They might see you or hear you setting up right under their tree, and
we've had that happen before.
We've had that happen before on previous hunts. So
that's sort of the trial and error that we have done during our first, you know, few years of turkey hunting, that we're hopefully passing on to you guys, that you can learn from this, and
so you guys don't make the same mistakes.
Make the same mistakes. Exactly. So like I said, and how I got my turkey this year was the same way I got my previous turkey before, the last one I had shot, set up in the same spot. I know that they use this one spot as a corridor to pass through to get to the roost from where they spend their midday. And that's kind of a different topic entirely, is where they like to spend their midday, and that's generally a thick part of the bush. But if you know where that is, that's great. If not, at least you know where the roost is, and you know that they're probably going to travel down this certain corridor. So getting set up there in the morning or in the evening, I like to do the evening because they're coming back, and they're not there at all. Whereas if it's in the morning, they're on the roost, they have the advantage of looking to see you, and if you're trying to get set up,
yeah,
you might bump them, or they might know you're there and go the other way, which we've also had happen.
Yeah.
So it does work both ways. Give it a try, and comment down below if it helps.
Yeah, and also when you guys are setting up over there, you either want to have, you know, some sort of decoy or a caller with you, and but hey, you know what, it works without a decoy and without a caller too sometimes, right? As long as that's exactly where they travel. Of course, having a decoy there helps, takes their attention away from, you know, from you, and having the caller there helps as well, so you can actually call them in just in case they might be taking a different path back to their roots. Maybe if you hit that caller and you got a decoy there, they might come back and actually take that path where you're set up on. So, but we're going to talk about decoys and callers maybe in a different video. This video is kind of just a general overview of 3 different strategies. So having said that, that's strategy number 1. That is knowing their roost locations and getting set up near their roosting location. All right, on to strategy number 2. And I hope you guys can hear us properly with this wind noise. I do have a wind muff on the microphone on this camera, so I hope that's still going to turn out okay. As you guys can see, it's like super windy out today. So basically all the turkeys are hunkered down right now, and that's why we're sitting here filming videos at turkey camp. So anyways, on to strategy number 2, and that strategy is run and gun. I love run and gun, man. Run and gun I find is like the favorite way to hunt turkeys. Like, you are when you say run and gun, you're either walking around, say I've got a pack with my decoys, I have my turkey vest with a seat, and we're walking around, we're just going from different spot to different spot in the, you know, same general area where we know that's going to hold turkeys, and we'll let out, you know, some calls, whether that's a locator call like a crow call, an owl hoot, or whatever, or just a simple yen help, and then or just a
simple hen yelp.
That's what I meant. That's what I meant to say. A simple hen yelp will also induce some of these gobblers to throw out a gobble back at you. And then once you hear that gobble, man, it's exciting, the run and gun. It's like you
gets your heart
go
pumping
somewhere,
for sure.
and then you make a call, you hear the gobble, then you're like, all right, let's get ready to set up. And speaking of getting set up, depending on how close that gobble is, yes, that's going to dictate how fast you're going to need to set up. Because yesterday we were hunting, and we heard a gobble like maybe 50 yards away. Pretty damn close.
Yeah, it was probably about
pretty damn close. Pretty damn close. And we rushed to get set up. Unfortunately, we didn't get a full setup, and you know, the spot where we sat, it was behind cover, but we were also tucked underneath a hill. So we didn't have the best point of view on the turkey when he was coming in. But you guys will probably see that in another video. I don't know if I'm going to release that video before or after this one, but keep an eye out for that. It's going to be called something like Big Miriam's Tom or something like that. And I screwed up.
No spoilers.
But I screwed something up pretty bad. Anyways, keep an eye out for that video, guys. Also, when you're running and gunning, say we're walking around, you know, a general area, and we're just not getting any response at all. There's no turkeys in this area right now. What we do is we might hop in the truck, drive around, and while we're driving from one area to a different area, we might just pull over to the side of the road, turn off the truck, roll the windows down, and let out some either locator calls or a hen yelp. Hen yelp.
A yen help.
Yeah, did I say that properly? It's this time.
This time you got it right.
Okay, a hen yelp. And then listen for gobbles. And then same thing, if we hear a gobble, typically they're going to be a little further away if you're just, you know, calling from the road. And when that happens, you can get off your truck, grab your gear real quick, move into position where you think they might be going to, or you want to get kind of in front of them, get set up, and get your decoys set up and start calling that gobbler into your set. So
the hardest part about run and gun turkey hunting is getting in front of the birds.
Yeah.
Because you could chase them all day, calling at them, they'll call back. But if they're, you know, moving the other direction and you're not getting in front of them, you're just not going to get them.
Yeah.
I've seen it too many times where I've been out hunting, or, you know, we've been out together, and you hear a gobble and you don't know which direction he's going just from one gobble. So you get set up, but it turns out he was going the other way already, and you're you're a lot less likely to get him turned around to come back to you than you are to have to be set up somewhat in front of him and have him come in to you that way.
One of the reasons for that, guys, is because in nature, when the tom gobbles, it's the hens that usually will go to him. So literally what you're trying to do, trying to call that gobbler into your hen, is the exact opposite of what they would naturally be doing. So that's why you want to really get in front of him, or at least on a path of his travel where he can kind of maybe just veer off and then, hey, you know what, I'm on the way there anyways, I might as well go check out this hen, sort of deal. Whereas if he's going completely opposite direction, you're trying to call him back here, he's just going to keep on going, and he's going to expect you to follow him, right? So that's probably that's probably the hardest part of running and gunning, is making sure you're getting in front of that bird, or getting close to the path of his travel at least. So
what I like to do to compensate for that, and this will kind of be the last point we have on strategy number 2, and that's I use Google Maps a lot. That way it'll show the terrain, the trees. You can kind of see where the hills are going to be, where the clearings are going to be, and kind of trying to figure out what route he's going to take. And like we said before, they travel between patches of bush. You can kind of get set up between those patches of bush and hopefully have them come by on that route. Yeah,
absolutely. All right, guys, that's going to be it for strategy number 2, and we are moving on to strategy number 3. And strategy number 3 is I don't really do it. You don't really do it, because we can't really do it, and that is hunting from a ground blind. Can't really hunt from a ground blind in public land. If you're hunting big areas and public land and the birds are like super spread out, you know, it's not like they're flocked together and you got a flock of 20 birds in your cornfield sort of deal, right? So hunting from a ground blind is going to probably be more of you know, if you have a farm, if you own some private land, you know, you've got a patch of bush there where you know that they're roosting, and you've got, you know, a food source that they go back and forth to every single day, and you know exactly where their travel route is. Well, then it's the same deal. You set up along that travel route between their food source and the roost, or because the food source is going to be where they're going to be spending their time during the midday. So
now, we shouldn't say it can't be done on public land. It more has to do with the amount of pressure that's put on the birds, how many predators they have in the area. So where we're hunting, it's all mostly public land, and where it's not public land, there's so many poachers that, you know,
there's a lot of poachers in this area though.
It really, you know, the private land that we hunt and we have permission on doesn't get the breaks that other private land would have from the pressure because of all the poaching. But you really need to just have a spot that they're not pressured, they're gonna take the same routes every day. It can work out to help hide you, especially if there's not much cover, if you get it set up and you maybe get lucky, or you kind of have an idea of what route they're gonna take. But ideally you can have the ground blind set up on a spot you know they're gonna be, or they are almost every day. And
like, especially if it's a spot where you could watch them from your house, like from your kitchen window. And you see a lot of those hunting videos where there's like flocks of like 20-30 birds in a cornfield every single day. It's great footage, but if you're hunting and grinding on public land or really pressured areas, you're not going to have that. Don't expect to see something like that. Like the birds out here are so spread out. Like, we see a hen every now and then. We see a jake every now and then. Like, we saw 4 jakes together earlier today, and that was probably, you know, the biggest flock that we've seen out here. So yeah, they just don't really flock together like that in public land. They're more spread out, especially in pressured areas. But yeah, I mean, if you've got a cornfield at the back of your house and you've got a flock of 30 birds, man, have at her. Set that ground blind up and give her, right? You're gonna get that bird. Like, you're gonna fill that tag every single year, 100%. Like, you know, I'm not discounting private land hunting at all. I'm jealous. I wish I had a farm where I could, you know, have that with, like, you know, have that for deer or turkey or whatever. So, but you know, I can't. So I grind on public land, man. That's what I do. But yeah, that is strategy number 3. I don't know if there's anything else that you want to add. Do you have to add to that? I think it's
Not
probably
really.
pretty much it.
We kind of covered all the bases.
Yeah.
And those are just 3 strategies. There's obviously a lot more.
Way more.
And if you've got different strategies, once again, let us know in the comments below if you've done any of these strategies, what has worked, what hasn't worked. And in the future, take these strategies and apply them to your own hunting and let us know how you do. We would love to hear your story.
That's gonna be it for today's video, guys. I hope you guys learned something, and if you guys learned something or enjoyed the video, or you just like our handsome faces, smash that like button and subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.